It's been, I think, 104 years since the worst sale in history, the sale of Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees, something like that. But the second worst trade in history is one we're about to lose. That would be Bill Grizzoli to the village planning board. Bill, this is his last meeting, and Bill, I thought thank you because you're right to have. And fortunately for the communities together, Bill was taking over as chairman of the village planning board, which speaks well of the town's appointment to the board here first, because obviously he's been recognized, and secondly, really mission. So thank you for your service, and thanks for coming to this meeting, because you've given us support.
Thank you very much. First of all, I really appreciate the leadership, and I appreciate the board members. I also appreciate our consultants and the staff. It's been really an honor. It's important for Cornwall. We have the right folks on the boards so that we can take care of our. I'm not sure about the right person, but I really learned a lot. Thank you very much.
Well, it is a credit to the board, town supervisor, for the level and quality of appointments that they provided us with, and Bill's a fine example of that. So, thank you again for your outstanding service. And with that, we'll move on to call to order. Call for us. We do have a forum, an emergency at work, and John is doing some valuable work for the school district and is unable to attend this meeting, unfortunately, but they guarantee they will catch up. The receipt of the minutes for the for last month's meeting. Who did it up? All in favor? Aye. I have some correspondence which I'll forward to Fran. All relevant about the record. You have the resolutions on it?
We have a requested modification of an existing resolution for the lands plot. If you recall, it's a 4-lot subdivision with an additional parcel that's going to be dedicated gratuitously to the county for the expansion of the rail trail. The applicant is working through the process of actually making that dedication to the county. It actually is more than just, preparing a document and saying, here it is. The county actually has to accept it. So they go through their process, including title and their committee review, and then ultimately to the county legislature. And it actually takes about 4 months or so. The applicant's ready to move forward with the subdivision, satisfying all the other conditions. And they have requested to be able to file the subdivision plat, even though they're not ready to, the county rather is not ready to accept the parking lot area. Speaking to the applicant's counsel, they made a suggestion that a note be added to the plat that makes it clear that no building permits can be issued until such time that the county has actually accepted the parking area. I've discussed that with Mr. Benson and with the board's other consultants, and if that's acceptable to the board, I will make a modification to the existing resolution that says exactly that a note has to be added to the plat that would provide that Mr. Benson does not have to issue any building permits until they complete their process with the county.
It's my understanding that the county remains here, except the parcel, and there are no obstacles to proceed.
Very much so. It's just a question of their
It's a procedural question.
their bureaucratic process. Correct. That project, to put it in perspective, I believe is part of a $48 million capital plan that the county is expanding.
That is the rail trail.
Yes, it's a heritage trail, so it's an expansion of the heritage trail up through the Scunnamunk Trail, and it will end here for now in Cornwall. There are plans to extend it even further all the way to Newburgh, but for right now, it would provide near-term ability for residents of Cornwall and anyone else who wanted to use it to be able to have a parking area and then get onto the rail trail either on your bike or by walking, and go all the way to Monroe, and all the way to Middletown, and all the way back, without having to be on any public highway.
Sounds good to me. Steve, do you have any questions?
No.
Sarah? So only the building inspector is content with the procedural layout.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, great. Good.
So if we could have a motion that would authorize the amended resolution, then I'll prepare that amended resolution.
Carol, that's for that motion?
I'll make the
A
motion.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Can we authorize the chairman to sign that
Yes.
resolution?
Yes.
That's a resolution authorizing me to sign that.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, with that, I've missed anything.
None on that.
Okay, we have the schedule on tonight for two public hearings. Public hearings are a little bit, for two projects, Butterhill Holdings and T-Mobile Holdings LLC. In as much as the public hearing does, the planning board's consideration on this does include a special use permit. It has slightly different conditions that the planning board will consider. So I'm going to ask Dominic to explain generally what the role of the planning board is in this, so that if I attempt to do it, you will all be so confused, you won't know which way's up. So I'll ask Dominic to explain it in understandable terms.
Yes, so the planning board's jurisdiction, for the public hearings that are tonight, is really kind of falls into three buckets, if you will. First bucket is the planning board is lead agency for the environmental review, and what that means is that they are evaluating the potential environmental impacts associated with the projects that are before it. The second bucket is site plan review. And site plan review is to make sure that the technical site plan for the improvements to both of these sites, although one site is not really proposing any exterior improvements, and that's Butterhill, is consistent with the requirements of the town code. It's a technical review, if you will. The third category is for special permits. And so for special permitted uses, the board is essentially providing an evaluation as to whether or not, if the project is consistent with the surrounding area. And that's where the board, the comments from the public are most helpful. Certainly the board members understand the area as well, but the ability of the public to weigh in on the suitability of projects in particular areas is most helpful to the board, in my opinion. The last thing that I'd like to say before we get to a public hearing in connection with this, a couple of things that I make. One is that there has been some comments, and including comments submitted already, that in connection with the hotel in particular, get into issues regarding grant applications, potential financial incentives such as like pilots or taxes that are going to be generated. And those issues are not something that this planning board can consider when it's considering whether or not to grant approval for these projects. Financial considerations are just simply not a planning board matter. And so I just want to make that clear. The standard public hearing rules are that comments should be addressed to the board. This is not a question and answer period. If something can be answered by the applicant and the applicant chooses to answer, then that's up to them. But really the purpose of the public hearing is to address your comments to the board so the board can make an informed decision when it comes time to make a decision.
Thank you, Dominic. With that in mind, any comments will be, I will point out, I do have at least one letter in my possession to my other email address. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring it, which I will provide, I will do for him and incorporate it into the record. That was one letter strongly supporting the Butterhill Holdings project. And again, I'll forward that to you. So the public, we're welcoming any comments that you have. You might like it, you don't like it, but there are things that we can consider and things we can't consider, one being financial matters related to the project. That's not something that we have the authority to incorporate into our consideration of the project. With that in mind, we'll still listen, but keep in mind the fact that we cannot consider it. Okay, and with that, Butterhill Holding at 7:12, we'll open the public hearing with Butterhill Holding with maybe a 2 or 3 minute presentation, breakdown of the project, and go from there. Members of the public, if you do have a comment on the project, I ask that you keep your comments to about 3 minutes if possible, and we will allow you to continue after if there is not a sufficient number of people also wishing to make comment. With that, thank you.
Great, thank you. Daniel Stafford, Arcero and Burgess for the applicant. Have them back here with me. This is a application for site plan approval and special use permit to convert the former Chase Bank branch on the roundabout to a universal pre-K school that is capable of hosting 40 students and 6 teachers. There will be no exterior modifications, interior partition walls. The only actually, there are a couple minor exterior modifications. The former drive-through window will become a double door, and also there's going to be a 40-foot by 100-foot playground in the backyard area of the property that will be fenced in. No new signage, no new lighting. It's very minimally invasive, and we believe it's consistent with the character of the surrounding area.
Thank you very much.
Can I add one thing?
Please.
Okay. While there will be universal pre-K there, it is a daycare center because there will be children there under 5-year-olds with no elementary class, so I have to have daycare lessons. So it is daycare with a universal pre-K because that means the school district is paying me. But I'm guided and ruled by OCFS.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I will point out that members of the public, if you have comments to make, we're going to ask that you respond to them over the next given time frame before we fully discuss the project. Okay? Thank you.
Sorry, do you have a publication?
With that, are there any members of the general public wishing to make comments on this project? If you do, please introduce yourself, name and your address, and you're up to go.
Thank you. Nancy Ryan, 80 Quaker Avenue. I am fully in support of Butterhill Holdings opening up the UPK site at the former Chase Bank building. We have a successful existing business, Butterhill Day School, looking to expand within our town. How lucky are we? The need is there, and this will be a big benefit as universal pre-K expands within the school district. As a business owner in Cornwall, Helen Bunt has also continually contributed much to the community. And she also runs an amazing program at her current site. I encourage you all to also support this. Thank you.
Pardon me?
After I try this.
Oh, no, you don't do that?
Yes, you have.
I actually sent this into all this, my comments into Lowe's already.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else wishing to make a comment on this project? Oh, waiver. Oh, hold it, did I say courtesy? Public hearing?
Okay, Eileen Regan, 120 Pleasantville Road, Mountainville. I am in support of Helen. She's been in business over 24 years. She's proven herself. There's definitely a need, and our children are our best assets and our future. And I don't believe parking will be an issue. There's already a parking lot there, and the Montessori school on Main Street doesn't have any issues, and they're on Main Street. So I definitely support it. I think there's a need, and I think Helen deserves to receive use. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Randy Clark, 286 Main Street, Cornwall. Bear with me a little bit. I want to try and do what Dominic did to explain the purpose of this meeting and just get a little bit of background here. While the proposed does fit in the GC map, a special use zoning permit is required. This type of permit allows a piece of property or land to be used in a manner that deviates from the normally accepted use in the area. In other words, these types of permits create exceptions to our zoning ordinances and regulations. A special permit may be issued after a careful analysis of numerous factors, including the type of building or land use in question, the type of business, operation, or conduct that will be occurring at the location, the impact of the activities on the local community, neighborhood, or business complex, whether or not the activities would disrupt the overall theme and purpose of the zone, and whether the land use or business operations were in existence before the zoning ordinance was passed. Thank you. If this special use permit is granted, it is, in my opinion, detrimental to the overall business community, especially in regards to our local restaurants. I would like the board to please provide clarification from the New York State Liquor Authority on how existing establishments would continue if for any reason the ownership were to change, or if potential new establishments were to open within that zone. A couple other concerns I have: the noise of the location of the firehouse and the ambulance bay with sirens cannot be good for the children, and especially those with heightened sensory concerns at all hours of the day. The congestion caused at present with Main Street Bridge replacement, and now approximately adding 40 cars entering Broadway and exiting on the Main Street Quaker at approximately the same time as the buses on the road will cause concern, as well as the continuous speeding which has increased on Broadway since the rerouting of traffic. Will the existing sewer be able to handle the anticipated increase of flushing and water usage throughout the neighborhood system? Historically, there have been problems with our 100-year-old system in this part of the town. Lastly, having a pre-K school business anchor the downtown is not a sound business decision. We already have one, and there are better uses, I feel, for this property. Thank you.
Okay, any other members of the general public wishing to make a comment on this project?
Ruben Scott, 36 Lowell Avenue, as an educator. 40 families will be very appreciative of this need. School district cannot provide the space, the staff, and this particular this particular service business will actually, I disagree, as someone who went to the Cornwall schools, I think would actually bring back businesses to our Main Street. You put a high school way out in New Windsor. I actually think that this daycare, this pre-K program will enhance and actually stimulate more business activity. So I'm in full support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the general public wishing to make a comment? Seeing none, I will add that I have a letter from a member of the general public wishing to really support the project. I will forward that to Fran for the record. With that, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Okay. Second? In favor? Okay, so close the public hearing on this. Okay, got any further action?
If the board so chooses, we could prepare resolutions for next month's meeting for you to consider, as you also take into account the public comments that were made tonight.
And with the response from the daycare related, am I correct if I could ask one question? There are no buses related to this, correct?
No,
There are no buses that
They're
would be,
about 4-year-olds.
just as a matter of clarifying that. Okay, with that, I ask for authorization, conditional on the response to the public comments made, to prepare a resolution for next month's meeting. Second? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, with that, we have a public hearing on two girls, one boy holding LLC. Brief explanation, and it is 7:21.
Evening. Okay. So my name is Mark Lansky. I represent Two Girls, One Boy Holdings LLC. The applicant here for the project at 317 Main Street. The application is for site plan approval and a special use permit for a proposed two-room hotel with a restaurant on the lower level. We're in a GC zone, and most people know this property as the old Bernard Dodge property. The structure, the footprint of the structure is staying the same, except we got a zoning variance to go 5 feet farther to the front to add a facade here. The boundaries of the property are obviously staying the same, and We are just under an acre. Currently, in the back, we have gravel parking, and we are proposing retaining walls and paving, concrete curbs, new utilities coming in front, electric vehicle chargers. We started here in front of the board in the fall of 2022 with an EEF. We got a parking waiver for 30% in the spring of 23. We got 3 zoning variances in the summer of 23 for lot size, front yard setback, and development coverage. We have had 3 sets of comments regarding fire access, which we believe we resolved. We performed a traffic study, and I understand there was a de minimis change in traffic. And we have done our best to work with the board and respond to comments and feedback. The site is, obviously you have Purdy's Lane to the north, which is in an old right-of-way, which goes out the back. That's going to continue. Traffic coming in there. Our main entrance is the existing main entrance, and that is our primary fire apparatus access lane. There is another fire apparatus access lane on Main Street. So we have the ability for 2 trucks and access lanes. We have a proposed patio and sculpture garden in front, landscaping along the sides and the back to create the buffer. And we've done our photometrics, stormwater. We are doing some retainage in front, and then that'll go out to the basin onto the street. And the excess, we have negotiated an easement for our neighbor to cross their property and go into that storm basin. And we ask for your support and hope that we can respond to your comments.
Thank you. With that, I'll ask for a public comment. If you have a comment, please give your comment to 3 minutes or so, although you have a chance to continue after we've had 1 round of With that, are there any members of the general public wishing to make comment on the project? Please.
Andy Pistowski, 479 Eagle Road. First of all, I'd love to see a lodging situation on Main Street. But there are a couple of things that that really haven't been too transparent. One of them is the franchise agreement. I foiled that, and basically it's an addendum. So could I get a copy of the full franchise agreement? Yeah, from Hilton.
I'm actually not sure what we submitted, but I know.
Oh, it's right there. This is.
Do let me finish. I know that somebody requested proof that we have an agreement with Hilton, and you have my representation that we have an agreement with Hilton, and there's some type of portion of that agreement was submitted as further proof. Nothing else is required. Not even that is actually required.
It is a public hearing, and we're looking for your input.
Yeah.
The questions can be answered.
My input is, I need more information.
Yes, but you're asking, this is a public hearing, we're interested in your input, but we can't answer questions at the public hearing.
As I said earlier, like your comments should be addressed to the board. If you have concerns, they should be addressed to the board.
Okay, all right.
Not to cut you off, I apologize. Those are the rules. Do you have other comments?
No.
Is it concerned that we don't have an agreement with them? I don't.
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Mary Heed. I live at 59 Hasbrook Avenue, and my family's been here 62 years this August. I grew up here on a main street where I stopped by and got a 25-cent slice of pizza at Prima's, and then got some candy at Patty's, and then I would stop and walk past Edgar's, and my favorite store was the Highland Flame. That was the day when you would walk from one store and you'd hit a few businesses. That's when we had great thriving downtown. I wholeheartedly think this is an excellent opportunity for the town. I personally am sick and tired of putting 14 people in my house for the holidays. That would be a plus. But it will bring money to the town. It will bring money to the other businesses in town. Those businesses can then take that money and upgrade the facades. Let's get these buildings that look like crap, get them fixed up, get them take care of them, and make Main Street great again. And this is the starting point. Oscar started with his company, Cornwall Mercantile and Coffee. That has started the change. Let's keep that change moving. That's it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to make public comment?
Forget the written correspondence. I think as a business owner, Randy Clark, 286 Main Street, Cornwall.
Thank you.
Got you by a few years, Mary. And you forgot the bologna, the dogs. I think this hotel is a great opportunity for the downtown area. As a business owner and a neighbor, I have not met one business owner on Main Street that is not looking forward to this. I have not met one resident that is on Continental that is not in favor of this project. What it will do is bring life to Main Street, which through many committees in the past year and a half have started to do just that. This will just be another wonderful opportunity, and you don't want to miss it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make a comment? Again.
Nancy Bryant, 80 Quaker Avenue, Cornwall. These are concerns that I have. I'm not saying that renovations and doing something with this property is not a good idea, but I continue to have some significant concerns. Stamp plans have not been available until just recently. They were asked for them at several meetings by various board members. No architect, no engineer, no surveyor until the very last minute. That's a concern to me. The fact that there has been almost exclusively an absence of an engineer or an architect at these meetings is also a big concern to me. Other projects have come with their engineers and architects from the start. Regarding parking, not once have I heard mention of employee parking. The question of are the existing footings good enough for a five-story structure of this magnitude, I feel has never fully been addressed by the presenters or really by an engineer. It is a question
Nancy,
that...
if I might, just for the record, the planning board cannot take that into consideration. That would be the building inspector.
Okay, that's fine. It's a question that has been asked since it started at different meetings repeatedly and never really answered or certified, and pretty much we have been told, oh yes, the existing footings are fine. Fire access, huge concern. The applicant got a letter in January from the fire chief explaining the size of the Cornwall Fire Department ladder truck, access needed, etc. Another similar letter was sent in April, as if they had never heard of this back in January. Quick access was shown, and at that meeting when I asked about fire access on the Fiddlesticks side of the building, it was stated we only had one truck. Apparently, we're being played for fools, my opinion. Even a two-story home, if on fire, will have multiple fire companies summoned through a process called mutual aid. There will be more than one ladder truck. There has to be adequate clearance for ladder trucks on more than one side, or you're reporting a potential disaster should there be any type of emergency. A five-story hotel cannot have emergency access limited. Fire truck access was first shown down one side, and plans now show them down on the other side. A fire in this location without adequate access could have the potential to spread fire to other buildings on Main Street. There has been no more mention in the last few months about 325 Main Street, a municipal parking lot proposal with agreement with the town. That was one of the things touted as to why it was okay to eliminate parking spots. And I'm sorry. Okay, and eliminate parking spots on Main Street. Free, does Rose send you things?
Yes, but that doesn't matter.
I'm sorry.
Trying to keep it down.
Fire access that ensures true and real access is vital. No one else would be allowed to move forward, pushing falsehoods and declaring, well, there's only one ladder truck, with the implied notion that more access is really not needed. and a full engineer certification should be required. And that ensures the existing footings would support a 5-story hotel. I know that's not your jurisdiction, or that new footings would be needed, excavation and plans for that, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Could you say one thing? My engineer, Mr. Mastermonaco, is in the hospital, and he does regret that he can't attend. Thank you.
Any other member of the general public? Yes.
I'm Joy Patterson, 22 Willow Avenue. I'm a lifelong resident of Cornwall, and let me just say that I do support the idea of ratables. However, you cannot cut off your nose to spite your face. I'm not opposed to the idea of a hotel in our town.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
And come forward.
I'm not opposed to, I'll yell. I'm not opposed to the hotel in our town, but this hotel is entirely out of place and much too large of a monstrosity building to put on our small Main Street. It will create issues for parking for patrons of other businesses on Main Street, and quite possibly the overflow of hotel guests and patrons of the restaurant will end up on Broadway, Grand Street, other areas next to Main Street. We live in a small town that is relatively quiet, and a very large hotel does not conform to the way of life that we have come to expect in this town. Second, I want to say the owners of the property where they want to put the hotel have a sign out front of the building that is deceiving and does not tell the whole truth. The figures are misleading. The figures they have for their contribution to the property taxes, their sales tax for the hotel rooms, hotel room tax, food and beverage income, could only be true if the hotel was booked at full capacity for a minimum of $158 a night, 365 days of the year. There is a restaurant with, according to the plans I saw in the building department, 30 seats. That would mean that each seat would have to bring in $91 every day, 365 days of the year. No break, no. So those are the figures that were provided on that sign for the public to see. The taxes listed also don't apply if the hotel applies for a pilot program, which the breaks for the town, they would have a break for at least 10 years. Then, given that the hotel owners have been asking for handouts since the time they bought the property for around $75,000, I can only assume that they will be asking for handouts from the state and the county for tax breaks as soon as they could. They have not said that they would not do that. I believe we need to be careful what we're doing in our town. We already know what happened when the Goddards sold our town out, giving the golf course to people who took the golf course away from our town and rendered it an eyesore for us. This company has no regard for our parking rules, our regulations. They're asking for variance after variance after variance. And who's to say that the hotel owners, if the Hilton buys it, will also have no regard for our small town atmosphere or the people who live in this town? I believe that we will be sold out to the highest bidder for this hotel, and who is going to protect our town and the residents as far as the hotel goes if they're not paying their bills and they are looking to possibly accommodate long-term housing for people. I'm very concerned about what the hotel will look like also. The drawing does not show, the drawing that I saw in the building department did not show the top of the building. It goes to 53.5 feet. That looks like in the drawing. However, there's part missing on the top. How tall is this building going to be? We need to have a balloon test done so that the townspeople can see what this monstrosity of a building will look like from Storm King Mountain, Ridge Road, Stunning Monk Mountain, Mount Beacon, Woodna Viaduct, Storm King Art Center, and Sharon's Bench up in the Black Rock Forest. And lastly, we do not have a dispatcher in town after 4:30. The town talks about cutting our police force from time to time. The hotel and the restaurant will certainly increase the need for police presence in our town. Who is going to absorb the extra cost for that?
Thank you. Are there other members of the general? Sure.
Hi, Mary Dennis, 286 Main Street, Cornwall. I will read what Randy didn't. First off, I would like to just also say that I remember when those 2 apartment buildings were built off of, what is it, Secor, or what's that street? Secor and Quaker, the same thing happened. Now you just drive by them, you don't even know they're there. Secondly, the height is not an issue because that's not in the planning. It's just a matter of, it is high, but at the same point, it's not an issue. Third, there are so many buildings, being a building owner and a business owner on Main Street, we already know fire trucks can't get to buildings between these wires and everything else. So I can point to 4 or 5 buildings that fire trucks can't get to. So it's one of those things that they are trying, everyone is trying to accommodate. Bottom line is, that's a fact on Main Street, Cornwall. So, as a fellow Main Street business owner and neighbor, I welcome this hotel site plan proposal before you. I welcome the improvements to our downtown, Mr. Gentleman.
Will you just slow it?
Sorry, sure will.
Are you giving me a copy?
I will give you a copy.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
A boutique hotel will help beautify Main Street. The proposed design fits with the character, and can you imagine a brand new hotel with modern amenities within walking distance for so many? We can now offer our residents somewhere close by where family and friends can stay without having to go over the mountain or to Newburgh or elsewhere. Like any hotel anywhere, guests love to walk around and check out what's near them, be it a stop for lunch or dinner, a coffee or a drink, some ice cream, or checking out our lovely shops. And of course, when something like that is put into place, the area surrounding it, the property values go up. And that's really important because we all want our property values to go up. And then there's tourism. Tourism, finally, Cornwall can't get away from it. We just passed a tourist tax, a hotel tax, so that's great for us. Tourism means tax dollars being spent locally, which benefits both our infrastructure and our tax structure. Now is the time for our Main Street. From the Main Street Bridge repair just starting, to the millions received with the New York Forward project for small businesses and the connected trail, correcting the stormwater situation we have, and finally in building a new hotel. Let's do it. Let's do it all. Let's get these projects completed for the good of our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could we have a copy of that?
Yes, you can.
And with that, are there any other members of the general public wishing to talk?
Eileen Regan, 120 Pleasant Hill Road, Mountainville. I have a letter to read from someone. As I'm unable to attend this evening, I've asked Eileen Regan to read this to you. Same information was presented to the Town Board Brook session several months ago. My name is Robert Aaron, and I have lived in Cornwall since 1989 until last year. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to discuss this with you further. Back in 2019, I was offered this property by a gentleman at the Salisbury Bank who I do business with. He told me about the old Bernica building. I contacted the DEC, and the bank did extensive environmental studies and found an extensive amount of hazardous waste on that property. It wasn't a quick fix, so I did some research on my own and basically found out that if I were to buy it for the offering price of $75,000, I would own that problem for perpetuity. Per the DEC, if the waste on my property went into the creek next door and the creek damaged the other properties with waste, I would be personally responsible for all that too. The bank was owed $600,000 on that property, and they took a huge loss just to get out of it because they did not want the responsibility. They did require the new buyer to accept 100% responsibility and exonerate the bank of anything going forward once sold. It was a monumental task. Why would the bank sell the property for $75,000, which, by the way, it was sold for $70,000, unless there was a major issue with it? It's also my understanding that there was another buyer who withdrew their offer after doing some testing at the site. Based upon the information I received, it's my understanding that the entire property is filled with hazardous waste oil underground inside of the building, and the concrete floors basically should be ripped up. In my opinion, based upon what I was told and the research I did, the building should be razed to the ground and the entire property should be remediated and soil removed. It is imperative before this is approved to confirm without a doubt there is no more toxic waste on the site. The environmental impact could be huge. I'm confident the planning board will do their due diligence to confirm that they have done everything to ensure that this will not be the case. Very truly yours, Robert Aaron. I have this to submit to you. I also have 2 reports for your review, which I will give to you. One is a status report of environmental conditions from the WCD group to Stephen M. Moore, Salisbury Bank, and that was the gentleman that offered it to Ms. Aaron. And LCS Limited and Focused Subsurface Soil and Groundwater Investigation per the request of Mr. Vinny Capisadano, M&T Bank. It's Mr. Aaron's understanding that these results resulted in the buyer withdrawing their offer. There was another buyer besides Mr. Aaron. So I would ask the board to please review these reports very carefully. And I also have a very large packet that I couldn't copy in time. It's double-sided. So I will get it to you. I will email it to you, but it has all kinds of test results that are very, very important. So thank you for your time. And one other thing regarding the fire truck access, the number of people that would be in one building at one time would be very great. You can't compare it to individual other properties that predate the existing code. And I personally don't feel it's in keeping with the surrounding area. I walk Main Street and Hazards is 3 stories tall, and if you're driving by, you don't realize how tall this is. And the proposed hotel is 5 stories and will loom over Main Street and change the character. So if I could, who can I give this to? Give it to you? Okay. So this is Mr. Aaron's letter. And these are each things that I could give to you at the WCD. And this is a huge package of all test results that are very important that you have. I don't want to email them. Yeah. How can I get this to you? What if, can I make a copy of that?
Sure. Good afternoon, General. The building inspector's office. I'll get from Gary.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, with that, son, are there any other members of the general public wishing to make comments on this project? Please.
Just real quick, beginning Scott, 36 Grove Avenue, and also as I've been listening to the proceedings, has the fire lane issue been resolved? I'm just concerned about the safety for the community. You have many volunteers that are coming in. I wouldn't want to put them in danger. And if you recall the fire at the first factory and what they went through to take that one out, I just don't want to see something like that again. And, you know, you just want it safe for the guests and you want it safe for our residents. And that's all I wanted to ask, if that was resolved or not from the board. From the board, do you have documentation that it's been resolved?
Right. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other member of the general public wishing to make comment? Please.
Eileen Hartman, Falling Hill Road, Cornwall. As far as I sit here with my classmates and stuff like that, I've been here since the 60s too, and remember Bluebees before it was passed, and as well as all the other stuff that went through, and the transitions that I've seen Main Street go through over the years, opportunities that this town has missed, or have growled against, and I remember I was up here on the weekends and living in the city where my business was located at the time, and hearing this uproar about Dunkin' Donuts. And oh my God, the world was ending because Cornwall was going to get a chain store to Dunkin' Donuts. And everyone was going to boycott it and everything else. Well, I don't know if you've ever been past Dunkin' Donuts, but there's a line outside every morning with people getting their coffee. Because it's come to be accepted, it's blended into the community, and it's there. Right now, we have this horrible building on Main Street, Verticals. They have done a lot of remediation on the different things. There has been testing done there. I talked to the testers while they were there one day when they were out in front. But things happen in Cornwall, opportunities get missed, and then everybody stands around and goes, I don't know what happened. The school's in New Windsor. this is here, this is there. This building is falling down on Main Street. As somebody who's a business owner, I'm on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, I'm on the Main Street Revitalization Committee. This building is an eyesore. You have somebody who wants to come in, put money into our community, it'll also produce tax dollars, and it will help the street and all the other businesses located on it. As far as the height goes, the zoning on Main Street allows for that height of the building. They didn't have to apply for a variance for it. So at some point, somebody way back when in one of these comprehensive plans decided that height was a sufficient height for things on Main Street. This is good for the community. It's good for people to stay. I've talked to other people who don't come to meetings. They don't write letters. They hear about this thing. I don't understand what the problem is. Why wouldn't they build it? I also went to see the building. I was called by the bank and went to see the building. I was there with several other people that I know from here who were all looking at it too. I was embarrassed to go into the building. I had my car serviced at Burners, all the time. The last time I was in there was water pouring from the ceiling into a plate. And I was like, what is this? And they said, well, it's coming from upstairs, but they were moving in a couple of weeks. When we went to look at the upstairs and stuff, I was embarrassed to think that anybody in Cornwall was allowed to live in the apartments that were above there, and that there's other apartments in Cornwall where conditions are that bad and people are being allowed to live there. Those is what we should be worried about, and not just, that this. This is going to be done right. It's going to add to the community. The drawing is nice. It's just not Howard Johnson's going up and it's going to look like a mess outside. There's thought going into the project, and they had asked for community input and stuff like that. And, I think Cornwall needs this. And because if it's not going to be this, it's going to sit there looking like this for a number of years until it's sold and becomes something Cornwall doesn't want. And then everybody's going to sit around and again, what happened? Just like every other project, it goes missing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other member of the general public wishing to make comment on this project?
Just have a couple quick notes. One thing is there's been some questions regarding fire. I would say that
First, I will close the public hearing. If there are other public input. And then I will reveal.
And also, what I would suggest is it probably would be most helpful for the board if you would prepare a written response to the comments that have been raised tonight. And the board can have that, and also the public can see what the responses to the comments are. And hold that up. Rather than off-the-cuff response tonight, I think a measured and considered response would be appropriate for a project of this size.
I would ask, that would be the appropriate way to address it. And again, it's public hearing, so we'll wait till the public gets it. And allow you to respond to all, whatever comments there were. It seems like it was well divided, and there were some positive as well as negative comments. With that, we ask. Please. Okay.
That's okay, Nancy, I have comments. Thank you, I had you here.
Okay, with that, I'll turn to the board and ask that, what's your consideration for the closing the multi-board?
I have no issue closing it.
Okay. Okay. I'd like to accept written comment to the end of the week. Written comments accepted to the end of the week. Everyone okay with that? Okay, those could be submitted to I would suggest those could be submitted to the building inspector's office.
Just give me a day and a time.
Yeah, Friday 1600. Friday what?
Friday, 4
p.m. You always know West Point. You knew what I was saying.
7-6.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion to accept Led's proposal of, I will close the public, ask for a motion to close the public hearing and extend the public comment period through Friday at 1500 or 1300? 4 p.m. 4 p.m.
And I'll make that motion.
Okay, there's two motions on the table. All in favor? Opposed? Hearing none, there's the rules. The rules are the public hearing is now closed and we will accept comments until Friday at 4 p.m.
It would be great if I could get all the comments accepted in writing Friday evening and then prepare my measured response.
I would anticipate Monday morning.
Monday morning?
I'll try, but
Okay.
depending on the volume we get and the time to copy, and I think in fairness, we should plan on Monday
So
morning.
Monday morning, so if I could have till Thursday, that would be great.
Well, I think you have until the submission deadline for the July meeting, which would be
Yeah.
the 19th.
The 19th, is that okay?
You'll be at between June 10th and June 19th.
Okay, with that.
I was just
Oh,
gonna
thank
say,
you. Sorry,
that actually
point
the
18th.
18th will be your next meeting.
Oh, that's right, my fault. So it's actually the 18th. Submission because of June 19th.
Okay. Thank you, and all the members of the general public, making comments, thank you very much, we appreciate your input. With that, we'll move on. Public hearing is closed. Move on to the first item on our formal agenda, which is T-Mobile Northeast. Everybody familiar with that, board members? Mr. Glad? We discussed it already, we discussed it last meeting, it's not the meeting before that, so does anyone have any questions on the board, Steve? Mary Beth? Bill? Liz? There's no interest, it's on an existing platform. Okay, with that, we can ask, we're in a position to waive a public hearing on this, and there really is no significant, so can I have a motion to waive a public hearing? Second? All in favor? Yeah, waive the public hearing. I'd ask for the board to authorize the preparation of a resolution approving this project for next month's meeting, or authorize me to sign it.
Well, it actually, I would suggest that you authorize it for the next month's meeting because it did require referral to the county planning department, and Kristen has made that referral. But the county's time to respond has not yet expired, and so it would be premature to move forward with an approval until we have county planning.
Okay, with that, then, for next month's meeting, I'll have a resolution prepared.
I certainly will.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, next we have Star Warehouse. Are you here? Okay.
Nick Romero from Peter's Agricultural Engineering. It's nice to get any questions from the board regarding the Star Warehouse project. Last month's meeting, I know the board approved the secret findings, and really at this point we're just wrapping up comments from the DOT. We do have a response from Plan John Alvin's office regarding one item that the DOT had comments on. Everything else has been addressed, and we're just looking to see if the board had any further comments.
Okay, first of all, that's Kristen.
So secret has been completed for this application. These are just some site plan revisions intended to address DOT comments that came in during the secret comment period. I looked at the revisions and the narrative was trying to be consistent with the FEIS and just one adopted. Sean is a rock star and actually went through the full finding statement and FEIS and pulled all of the plan revisions that are necessary. And so I appreciate him having turned it over to him.
Okay, thank you, Les.
Hi, Dave.
Thanks, Kristen. Okay, Sean?
Yes, as Kirsten alluded to, in anticipation of the applicant requesting conditional final approval this evening, I reviewed the plans in comparison to the finding statement to identify all the outstanding items that would have to be addressed. These will be noted on the plans. I won't bore you with them this evening. Additionally, we did have some minor SWIP comments that we have given to the applicant, and some conditions of approval that could be accounted for should the board so choose this evening or at a later date.
Very good. I always want to say this, sorry, Bill.
All of my comments have been worked into the finding statement. It's really the DOT permit was the last piece of that.
Okay, very good. Very good. We, board members. Steve?
No comment.
All right. Go. We have one final comment. That's, we're currently showing a site distance of 584 feet in the southbound lane from that entrance. I'll just take on it. I would just ask that either the town engineer or our traffic consultant leave on condition. We have in the past had some site distance problems, for instance, at Cornwall Plaza that required some vegetation clearing. This isn't to say that 584 feet couldn't be achieved, or even 584 is required for the current speed there. At Cornwall Plaza, when we had those turnouts, those resulted in a fender bender, maybe somebody's car going to shop. At this location, a similar interaction can lead to a fatality. So I just want to double check, make sure that I'm sure the site distance looking north from the entrance is good, 550 feet. I was just startled that the site distance is better looking north than looking south. That doesn't seem correct to me. And so I just asked that we feel confirm that particular observation. And since the DOT stuff is still pending anyway, I think the time is right for that examination. Should be a quick thing, but if we got to cut a couple trees, now's the time to make sure that we got the right look.
Sure, I'll coordinate that.
Great, thank you. That's all I have. Okay, we can, board with your consent, we can consider additional approval, correct?
Well, the thing is the Cornwall Code has very particular requirement that once additional approval is granted for site plans, the applicant has 1 year and 1 year only to get a building permit. There's no possibility of extension. That's the reason why other projects that come before the board, oftentimes take up to that very last bit, but don't ask for conditional final approval until they know that they're actually ready to start construction, because after putting in all that effort, they certainly don't want their approvals to expire. So I think a fair question to Nick on behalf of the applicant is whether or not they're ready to start construction. So if they are, we certainly can move forward at this point with a conditional final approval resolution that we can prepare for next month's meeting. But if they were just looking to get additional comments on the current status of the plans and don't want conditional final approval yet, then that's up to you.
You understand you have 1 year from 1,400 hours on the state. Sorry, construction.
So we would like to just address the comments and then come back before the board and request approval.
Okay, that's fine. Do we see anything? Okay, there you go.
No further action.
No further action.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Okay. With that, we'll move to the next. Scorpion Golf Course has been removed from the agenda for the evening. I'm not sure if the conditions were reading work, my initiative.
The applicant decided to do so.
And we'll wait with bated breath until the next proposed presentation. With that, we'll move to Clove Brook Farm. Clove Brook Farm here, yes.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Eric Fred, the architect representing the applicant, 29 Clove Brook Farm LLC. We're here tonight seeking conditional approval for the master site plan. Since our submission, we've provided updated engineering drawings, SWIP report, tree survey of the areas of interest, the areas where the work will be proposed. Our county land trust, if there's a conservation easement on the property, we have received all all approvals for all buildings and structures excluding the agricultural barn, the artist barn, and the road access, also known as the farm path. We're awaiting approvals for that. We're meeting with the applicant on this coming Monday. Speedy permit is in process, however, we are still waiting for the SHPO determination. That's all we have. Waiting for the comments. Just wondering if there is two things. One is there a draft of a resolution to review, and also, since this is a large scope of work for the applicant, is there a deadline for the building permit as well? And if so, we hope to create and build these projects in a phased method.
With that in mind, though, we do have to address before we can issue any type of conditional approval, we have to have SHPO's comments, correct?
You don't have to. It's just it creates an open issue. They need to have SHPO's sign off prior to starting construction. required as part of their CE's general permit by the DEC. So it's certainly a required element, but it has not been treated by this board in the past as a necessary element to consider conditional approval. I'll defer to Kristen in connection with, the environmental impacts associated with this. She has prepared a draft negative declaration, and I have prepared a draft approval resolution, but then I made a mistake of walking here and forgetting it on my kitchen table. So I can certainly email you a copy of it, but I would not recommend to the board necessarily that you need to wait until you hear from the State Historic Preservation Office in order to move forward.
We need to make that a condition of approval?
It essentially is already, because they, it's implicit because they have to get coverage under the CE's general permit, and they can't get coverage under the CE's general permit without it.
Okay, Kristen was comment up to complete the neg deck, am I correct?
Yes, we have prepared neg deck, and so this is an interesting site because it is on a very environmentally sensitive property, obviously, which is exactly why there is conservation easement over a significant portion of this site. But the actual scope of work that is proposed is a very narrow scope, and most of the disturbance that is proposed is within areas of the site that have previously been disturbed. And the nature and use of the site are remaining the same. So they're remaining, the site is to be used for residential and agricultural purposes as it is today. So there's no commercial expansion or anything like that where we'd be more concerned about a lot of these impacts. So that is why the EAF that the applicant provided does have a lot of yes check marks, and those are things typically that this board would wait for and that we would chase down from the applicant. But because this is such a narrow scope and because the areas are very limited, the areas of disturbance are very limited, that's why I think it would be okay and appropriate to continue to move forward.
Good enough. Okay, does any board member have a comment?
Mr. Chairman, I would propose that I propose the board that we authorize the chairman to evaluate the significance of any feedback that comes from SHPO if the chairman finds that feedback in consultation with staff to be minor or non-actionable. I think we should just authorize the chairman then to sign the declaration.
Right, thanks to military flexibility.
Well, this is if the SHPO comes back and says, hey, there's no, if SHPO comes back and says, hey, there's no hassles, there's nothing significant here, we're consultants and then set it up.
That's good. Okay, is that okay? On board, are you okay with that?
I just have a quick question, and in regard to if the project's going to be completed by phases, would that have a timetable that would go with that approval?
So one of Sean's comments was a suggestion that we put this into the resolution as well as the construction phasing plan be added to the set so that Gary would know what is supposed to be next on the plan improvements to the site.
Because he asked that question, so I just wanted that to be clear for me. Correct.
So do you have any questions? With that, but we do need to have a motion to accept the neg deck for you, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion to accept the neg deck. So move. Second. Any further? Okay, now we can do the conditional, correct?
Yes, so this is the resolution that I prepared to make certain findings in connection with the project because it is a master plan that's being approved for the overall site, as well as it lays out the conditions which were also helpfully included in both Sean's and Kristen's memos to the board.
With that, we'll put that motion, if I might not have to repeat that, on the floor for your consideration. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? All right, there you go. Thank you. Okay. With that, any other comments, questions, issues? And one final thank you and farewell to Bill and Billy, who've been an honor to have on board. Thank you. And good fishing. Okay, with that, I'll ask the motion to adjourn. Second? In favor? Thank you all.
I was
hoping to have more.
Yeah. It sounds like it's gonna be
Well, this is what I thought.
They are a great that are very organized and no meetings are my biggest problem is my sister came along and I there you go.